Welcome to Omni News South Asian Edition. I'm Sudha Krishnan. Our top story, a major announcement by an influential spiritual and political leader. The Dalai Lama says he is stepping down as the Tibetan people's leader. He is renouncing his political responsibilities. This comes as Tibetans all over the world mark a pivotal anniversary, the 52nd anniversary of the failed uprising against China. Our coverage begins in the town that has become the leader in exile's home base, Dharamsala, India.
During a speech marking the anniversary of the 1959 Tibetan uprising, the Dalai Lama announced his plan to give up his political responsibilities to an elected figure. The 75-year-old Dalai Lama said he would begin the formal process of stepping down at a meeting of the Tibetan parliament in exile next Monday. This may be easier said than done, as there is currently no Tibetan who comes close to matching his authority as a spiritual and political leader. Beijing has already said the Dalai Lama has no right to choose his successor, but must follow the religious tradition of reincarnation. Meanwhile, many Tibetans, including Buddhist monks, staged a rally in Shimla today as they marked the 52nd anniversary of the Tibetan national uprising. They demanded for the release of political prisoners in Tibet and reiterated their faith in their spiritual leader.
We do have a full hope toward Dalai Lama that he will definitely look after us and manage after us. And although he have announced that he will completely renounce all his political power, but still we do have a lot more towards him.
And in New Delhi, exiled Tibetans also demonstrated outside the UN office in the Indian capital city. They are calling on the world body to seek for a proper investigation into the political situation in their homeland and are demanding an end to Chinese rule in Tibet.
We are here at the United Nations office, in front of the United Nations office in New Delhi, India, and we are here to appeal to the United Nations to appoint a special rapporteur to investigate into the situations and to look into the conditions of the political prisoners inside Tibet.
Later, a group of Tibetans met UN officials who assured them that their concerns will be brought to the attention of UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in New York. Thousands of Tibetans lost their lives, and about 80,000 of them were forced to flee to India on March the 10th in 1959 in a failed uprising against Chinese rule in Tibet.
A small group of Tibetan supporters rallied on Parliament Hill. They weren't alone. MPs from all parties joined with about 30 protesters to show their support for Tibet. Organizers called on the federal government to urge China to stop the continuing human rights violations and lack of democratic freedom in Tibet.
Not too long ago, Stephen Harper said that the Canadians will not sell out for the almighty dollar, but I think this summer, actually, he met with Hu Jintao, so it seemed like he sort of backtracked on that.
Protesters marched to the Chinese embassy following the rally. Well, the reaction to the Dalai Lama's decision to wind down his political role had Tibetans in Calgary talking. Despite the leader's influence, many saw the announcement as positive. Shilpa Acharya Downton reports.
Students for a Free Tibet in Calgary gathered this morning to commemorate the 52nd anniversary of the Tibetan national uprising against China's invasion and occupation. Siring Sampho is the co-chair of this committee and strongly believes in bringing local awareness to the oppression of Tibetans.
Basically what we're fighting for is human rights in Tibet for our brothers and sisters who can't speak for themselves under Chinese oppression.
Members of Students for a Free Tibet showed their unity and expression by painting.
The thing we're painting, actually, the Tibetan flag, is actually illegal inside Tibet. You're not allowed to have any depictions of it. And this just kind of shows our freedom of speech.
Siring Asha Liba has Tibetan roots. She says her involvement in this day has a personal significance to her and believes it's helping to preserve the culture of generations before her.
It's important to me to remember where my parents and grandparents came from, to remember that culture and language. It's really important to retain that and to pass it on.
While speaking in India about the significance of this anniversary, the Dalai Lama announced that the time has come to hand over his political authority and to elect a new leader. This may come as a shock to Tibetans worldwide.
He's shown and he's proven that he is an advocate of democracy, and by stepping down as the head, he's proving that he wants to give the power back to the people. The recent events, especially in the Arab world, has inspired the whole new generation of Tibetans inside of Tibet and outside of Tibet, and we're really looking forward to seeing this change and seeing that the world actually really believes and stands up for these rights.
Although the Dalai Lama will step down as political leader of Tibet's government in exile, he will retain his role as spiritual leader. In addition to marking National Uprising Day, March 10th will now hold an entirely new significance. Shilpa Cheria Downton, Omni News, Calgary.